Hey guys, Walt here back with some more Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. The last time we took on the Uragan, and this time I have a new set of clothing. This is not the Uragan armor though. This is from a monster we fought ways ago, like a long time ago. The Lagambi. Actually made the Lagambi set. I was looking for a specific skill, known as Evasion, so want Evasion +1. Which will help a lot against the monster that I'll be fighting today, which is known as the Nargacuga. And something I like to mention before we even go on that quest is that armors are confusing. Yeah, I did gym in speed sharpening, but certain pieces of the armor give different points to different skills apparently. So I apologize that if any of my armor overviews are incorrect, which they probably are. Honestly, they just give a brief overview. I apologize because some pieces of Lagambi armor give you ice resistance, other pieces give you sheathing. That's a huge difference. Because sheathing is a really good skill. Or not really a really good skill, but it's a nice skill to have. It allows you to put away your weapon more quickly. However, none of that really matters when it comes to fighting the Nargacuga. So, let us be on our way to the Flooded Forest, which we also haven't been to in a very long time. Here lately, it's been pretty much nothing but tundra and volcano, it feels like. It's maybe like a little desert sprinkled in there somewhere. Oh well. I'd say it's nice feedback, but this is my least favorite map in the game, so maybe it's not nice to be back. I believe the cutscene for the Nargacuga is in 5, though, so we have a good long walk ahead of us. Also, it feels weird wearing this different set of armor so soon. It's bunny. It's a bunny outfit. It's an alright looking set. I don't really like the helmet personally, but then again, I don't like that little hat thing. So, and it's like way too warm of an armor set to be wearing to like a tropical jungle like this place. So it feels out of place, man. Oh, we'll get a boy to fight. Wait, what? How did you just teleport? And why are you enraged? Anyway, this is the Nargacuga. He is a non-elemental flying wyvern, flagship monster of Monster Hunter Freedom Unite. Or a portable second G, if you want to talk about Japanese names of games. Which would make sense since we're playing a Japanese Monster Hunter game, technically. Nargacuga is easily one of the quickest monsters in the game. To the point where evading through his attacks is a skill I'd highly recommend learning how to do if you're going to be fighting this guy. As a lot of the time, you won't be able to reposition yourself to get out of his attacks, just because they have such wide range and such speed. Your best bet is to just literally roll through them. And that's what kind of makes this guy unique. There's a lot of monsters that they may be fast, they may have a long reach, but never a combination of both of them. And not to the speed that Nargacuga's attacks go at, because it's so fast it is actually fairly easy to roll through his attacks. Even if you don't have Evasion +1 or +2, you can roll through his stuff. It's just you have to get the timing down. And if you're wanting to learn how to use evasion to like improve your fights with other monsters to like roll through their attacks, like Zinogre or what have you, Nargacuga is the best monster to learn that stuff for. That one like circle spin attack of his tail is very useful for learning the iframe timing. This guy is weakest to thunder and or fire. Yeah. So bringing either of them is a good idea. I just brought thunder just because the Zinogre hammer does a bit more physical damage than the Rathalos hammer that I have. So it all checks out. As for breaks, the Nargacuga can have his face broken, both his wings, his tail can be broken and then severed. Kinda like the Uragan. Nargacuga is just taking a hammering right now. It's honestly, the best way to deal with this guy is kind of like the idea behind Barioth is just make sure he doesn't move, because he doesn't have that much health compared to like other monsters like Uragan or something. Uragan's like a tank in comparison. However, this Nargacuga is just getting messed up, unfortunately. It doesn't help that he's exhausted too, so it's like just slides around everywhere. Yeah, I think the kitty's gonna look for some food. He's pretty hungry. Nargacuga is one of my favorite monsters in this game, and in the series in general. Like, I just loved the fight with him when I first fought him. Where's he? There he is. It really brings extra flair. Also, nice touch. When you do break his face, there's a giant scar over his eye. And when he gets enraged, see the little light trail following his eyes, or eye. If you break his face, there's only one light trail instead of two. It's actually pretty neat. I always loved that little attention to detail. It's just one of those things that really makes this game series stand out, is just all the little attentions to detail that they do have. That's something a lot of games are missing, just the little attention to detail. It's like oh, like the little like eye things, like, oh, that's cute, but it's like it actually adds a lot. Also, I'm going to get comboed, I feel like. You have to be careful with this guy. He will yell up on you. He can be. I mean, just the attention to detail and the animations in this game. Like, you can actually really see what the monsters are doing, at least most of the time. With the exception of Rathalos or Rathian just instantly charging at you. Pretty much every move in the series has a tail. It has a wind up. Like, I knew that was going to be a tail slam, but he didn't get it off. Like, when he makes that pose, he's going to, like, lunge at you. When he's looking at you, he's probably going to target you. It's like this. I always love being able to tell what something is going to do before they do it. And I'm glad a lot of games nowadays are actually like adopting that trend. With games like Slay the Spire and Into the Breach, which recently released as of the time of recording. I love that game. It's always nice just being able to tell what they're doing. You know, gone are the days of just like, oh, I don't know what the AI is going to do. They'll do it instantly. Also rolled through a roar. Feels good, man. But it just makes games feel a lot more fun, because you can tell what's going to happen when it's going to happen. so you can plan, like, make plans around it, like, quickly. I always thought that's part of the reason why Monster Hunter just doesn't feel grindy to me. Is that mechanic of being able to predict monsters, yay for being poisoned, and having no antidotes. I should really start bringing antidotes. I mean, you can still do that all day. I don't even know what he was aiming at there. What you doing, Narga? Okay, that was a little awkward. So this is an earlier game in the series, so not all the animations are there. So some of the animations are a little janky. So it's like, oh, they may just suddenly beep at you. And that always breaks immersion a little bit. It's like, oh, that's a little weird looking, like... But with 90% of moves in this game for monsters, you can tell what they're gonna do. You know, they'll put their paw forward or anything. And this guy is honestly a great example of animations, minus that one little blip there towards the end. Like, you know, when he makes a certain pose, he's gonna do this attack. When he makes this other pose, he's gonna do the other attack. And it makes the very fast fight with the Nargacuga feel very fair. And that's part of the reason why Nargacuga is one of my favorite monsters. It's not only is designed like badass, like a Black Panther, like wing guy that has eyes that glow. Like, that's just an awesome design for one thing. His fight's also very fair and fun, despite the fact that he's so insanely quickly that it should be unfair. But because his animations are very well laid out, you can tell what he's going to do and when he's going to do it. Which is great. Didn't really get any good items from him, but oh well. And Nargacuga does have a marrow, kind of like the two Wrath monsters have a marrow. And I'll never forget, like, Nargacuga marrows in my mind are like an inside joke to me. Just because one of my friends who I got into the series with this game, because, you know, I could emulate it and stuff. And that's a little shady, but outside of that, you know, he wanted a lot of the Nargacuga armor since, you know, he was like, I'm gonna try out an Evasion set, I'm gonna get his longsword, because Narga's longsword's amazing. And he needed, like, several marrows. It took him, like, over 40 Nargacugas to even get all the marrows he needed. It's just kind of funny. So, like, anytime I play any games with him that have, like, a luck factor and he just doesn't get what he needs, like Monster Hunter or even other games like Terraria that have certain drops, I can just go like, hey, at least it's not Nargacuga marrows. That's good. We all have our own quote-unquote Nargacuga marrows. Like, there's just some things in games that the game just decides to hate us and never give it to us. The entity known as the Desire Sensor, which isn't actually real, but some people believe in it. I can believe in it too. Where, like, the idea behind it is that if there's an item you want, the Desire Sensor in the game will prevent you from getting said item. And it's just kind of funny to assert blame onto that. So, it makes you feel better about not getting what you need, I suppose. But let us check the Nargacuga armor. Let's see, where is it? There it is. Makes me look a little bit like a male stripper, but It's supposed to have like a ninja look to it. It's just the chest for males, or it's kind of like that, and for females too. But it covers up the chest area for them, and just exposes their stomach instead of the chest. Anyway, as for the Nargacuga armor, it's a pretty interesting set. The first skill it gives is evade distance. And this is a very weird skill in this game because the lowest level of it is the only level and it requires 15 points as opposed to 10 like most skills. Not sure why they did that. I don't think evade extender is that great of a skill. Because all it does, like, it makes your rolls go further in terms of distance. Which does have a use, by the way. Like, if you're using like a slow weapon that you don't want to be sheathing too often, like a switch axe in sword mode, because you move really slowly while in sword mode with the switch axe. Evade distance basically allows you to move faster. That combined with the stamina recovery up, which will give you more stamina more quickly. You know, you can just roll around for days with a set. And if you're playing in multiplayer, you can try out the sense skill, which doesn't really help much. It's still kind of luck based, and honestly, the negative skill for sense isn't even really a negative skill in my eyes. But then again, I'm biased since I'm a hammer user and I want the monster to always look at me anyway. I'd rather have taunt over snake, but that's just me. That's kind of a useless skill, but the other two skills are pretty nice, so if you're maining a heavier weapon like a switch axe or a heavy bowgun that you don't want to sheath all the time, I definitely recommend checking out the Nargacuga armor. It's definitely worth your time. However, since the Nargacuga was the last monster in 5-star, we have an urgent coming up. But what could be worse than the Zenogre and the Mr. Peaks? Ah, the Duramboros, you say? Oh boy, we got a big boy to take care of in the next episode. But that'll do it for this episode, since I like to segment stuff. And we'll have more time to talk about Nargacuga when we get back to him later in the game. However, next time on Monster Hunter Portable 3rd, we will be taking on the big boy in the Misty Peaks, the Duramboros. I'll see you guys then.